Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Meet the operator. This small batch, artisan made, medium dark roast espresso coffee. Get yours now at monkeywerxus.com or scan the QR code on your screen now. All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Opsmic here. It's going to be your SITREP. It is Monday morning around 11 a.m. Central Time, coming to you live from the great state of Texas in the Monkey Lounge. It is 10/9/2023, and we have got a lot to talk about. We are going to be looking very closely, primarily at Israel and what is going down over there right now. How hot will this get is the million-dollar question. Only God knows. But let me tell you, this could actually be the precursor to kicking off this peace deal, because nothing will get things started faster than an area heating up and everybody come to the table to stop the nonsense, right? So a lot to cover. We're going to kick it off first in Skyglass, as always. We're going to be looking at Israel and the region primarily again, but we'll still kind of kick the tires over and look at what's going on in the U.S. Remember, it's a holiday here. Indigenous Peoples Day, Columbus Day. So going to be a little bit light here in the United States. But that said, this is Israel. This is what we have currently up right now. It hasn't changed much. When we look at the watch list, we'll look closer at these aircraft. But you got a little G5 up here we're going to look at. A couple C-130s, a B-703. Those are going to be mapping a battlefield. And we're going to look very closely at all of that. Let's go over here to the U.S. real fast, just get a total bottoms-up count. And do note, I just caught two things that were headed across the drink we're going to look closer at here in just 1 second. But we do have an E6 up in the middle of the U.S., and I did see some air refuelers transitioning, so that will be something we'll look at closer. Only 29 on the screen right now. We've taken out the Tex 2s. Not a lot of trainers up, not a lot of activity. We do have this one, and I'm not sure. That is a U.S. aircraft, VVAB 7 B707. Looks to be over the Bahamas. That could be Navy P-8, but we don't know. But let's get over here to this side. When you see this heading across, notice call sign MC38. That's an air refueler. More than likely, and notice this one here. I caught this one as well, little A400 heading over from Spain, headed back. We've got another A400 from the UK headed inbound. These guys are probably picking up military equipment, okay? This one, more than likely, when you see little single ship or two ship KC-135 or DC-10s, air refuelers headed across the drink, that can sometimes indicate that you've got some fighters around this, because they can't make it across due to their low fuel capacity, right? So they have to have an air refueler help them get across. The other piece too, and this is just a data point for you, but somebody had posted that they had B-2 bombers actually headed across the drink just a couple days ago. They got some pictures of them leaving. So that is another data point for you. But when you start moving, those kind of strategic assets into the region, usually a good indicator that some things are about to escalate somewhere. Okay. All right. Now let's, it is just, as we get through this, I'm going to look, we got one DC-10. We see that. We're going to break out. Am I seeing any Pegasus? I don't. Let me see if we got any KC-135 showing. We do. Only two. So it looks like the only ones that are up right now are the one we just saw headed across the drink. And then this one right here, that looks to be kind of bouncing out of South Georgia, headed kind of northwest. So not seeing any air refuelers. Very, very light day here across the United States. So let's get into some of the deets. We're on our watch list. Notice these right here on screen are all 100% survey flights. We're going to take those out. Again, they continue to do the surveys. And these, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol, again, what are they doing so much work down at the southern border for? I wonder. And then in here, just notice you've got just a hot mix of all kinds of different aircraft, from recon intelligence planes to just a bunch of different stuff. We'll get in a little closer and see. There is that N411DE is actually a nuke sniffer over DC. That's the nuke sniffer helicopter. That one is the hotspot plane over New York, looking for radiological hotspots. That's got to make you feel really good living up there in Buffalo, having that over your head, right? Okay, and we'll jump over to Europe, and I don't know who that one is. It's all NAs, probably Navy. Oh, wait, no, that's a balloon, intelligence balloon over Jacksonville kind of area. All right. Let's see. That's going to be an intel bird. We go a little further south, and then it starts to get really kind of busy in the air. Notice we got an R-135 up. We have several drones over Turkey, out over the Mediterranean, and then all of this hot mix over Israel. And again, we'll look at some of these a little closer, but they are kind of strip it down just so we can see them, because they are kind of bunched up because it is a small area. But there we go. That'll help a little. That's going to be C-130, another C-130, could be a gunship. And then this one, look at all of the stuff hanging off of that. That's an intel bird. That thing is looking at everything on the ground asset-wise, probably selecting targets, etc. All right. Now, let's go back and look at the intel. This is from the last 10 days. Remember, we were showing, I said there was something going on in this waterway headed up into the bottom side of Israel towards Gaza. Then we had all of this right on the border of the West Bank and a whole bunch of intel flights over the region. Now, this becomes important because we start to really try and figure out how much advance notice did they have. They acted like it was a big surprise. However, with all of that intelligence gathering, there's no way these people were able to pull off what they pulled off without somebody knowing about it. Now, there may be an analyst at a desk at Mossad saying, I told you it was going to happen. Maybe not. I don't know. Look at the other intelligence flights. Notice this one coming from the U.S. that goes down into Israel. Right? You see that one as it heads down. And then, of course, we have all of this. Look at the layers and layers of flights in the last 10 days gathering intelligence. It's off of Sweden. It's off over across Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. The whole gamut, up and down from the south of East Europe all the way up to the north end. And then we got a little bit of work there, looks like over D.C., some stuff over Atlanta. And then we go a little bit further away from that over to the west, and then it gets really, really busy, as you can see here south of Tucson along the border, super duper busy. Of course, that's an Intel school down there. But all right, now this is the Israeli Air Force. If you just look at, this is going to be B-703s, C-130s, and just notice the flight pattern. See that little sweep, that little hook? Gathering intel. Notice we're very low altitude, getting a lot of info right there over the Gaza Strip area. That's probably your C-130s, the stuff over West Bank. And then notice this one, it kind of breaks out over not only the water towards the north, towards Lebanon, and looking at Gaza, but also out over Jordan. That becomes interesting here in just a minute. We're going to kind of talk into some of the deets on that, okay? All right. Now let's go back to our mini, and let's get into some of the details around this. Now, if you're not familiar with Israel, just the lay of the land, I'm just going to give you kind of the back of the napkin so you understand how things flow within Israel. It, from top to bottom, down here at the base, all the way up here to the top of Israel, is about 300 miles, okay, roughly. It's not that big of an area. In fact, it's very, very small. And when you start seeing operations going on with fighters and C-130s and all that other stuff, they are taking up every bit of that airspace, okay? Now, this is going to be Gaza, right down here, Gaza Strip. Everybody's heard about that. But this area, you see this border that runs through it, that's a fence that goes all the way around Gaza. You may remember me reporting I was down in this general area reporting when I went to Israel just about a year ago now, within a couple of weeks from now. And so this area, there are tanks, there are all kinds of stuff within kind of along this area of the border. But this is where we see, and we'll look at a lot of the strikes taking shape. Then if you back it up, you get over here to the East Jerusalem, and you get into the West Bank, which is, that's what they call the occupied West Bank, or it's ancient Samaria. But inside this area, this is the holy city, Jerusalem, and then you get over here into these areas. This is Bethlehem. This is where Jesus was born. That is inside the West Bank. So in order to go into this area, you actually have to pass an armed checkpoint that is just chock full of razor wire. It is absolutely crazy. There are mines that run all the way along that area of the West Bank. And anyway, that's just kind of give you a general idea. It's actually quite a big area when it comes down to where it's fenced off running up north. And then the other area we're going to talk a little bit about today is Lebanon, which is up here to the north side. This is Haifa. Haifa is a major military base and port location for Israel. But then you get up here, and you got your border right here going into Lebanon, and that's where you're going to see a lot of the strikes taking place. Now, you go a little further north, and then you can see another area that we visited and reported was up here, and that's headed, the road to Damascus is runs through here. This is Damascus up here. Remember, Isaiah 17 talks about basically the world waking up one morning, and Damascus is just a ruin heap, okay? So that becomes important when you start to kind of understand the lay of the land from an Israel perspective and how this thing is getting a lot of attention, okay? Now, get over to this, and this is Israel down here, Lebanon here, right? So you'll see a lot of strikes going on here. But this map becomes very, very important because if you look at over the border into Syria, who has set up shop? This was mid this year, so just a couple of months ago. But notice, these are Iranian flags. So you've got a boatload of Iranians in Syria right here along that border area leading up to the border of Israel. That's very important because when you start talking about Hamas, you start talking about Hezbollah, Hezbollah is an Iranian-backed terrorist organization, okay? And so if you've got this going on here, then you know you've got Hezbollah standing up shop in here as well, okay? And then these others, these are Russia, right? And then U.S. is up here. And then a little further to the north, you can see it is full of Iranians inside Syria. That's why Israel is getting very concerned about their nuclear program and the amount of money that the United States keeps freeing up for them. Because you know if they're in here and Hezbollah is in here and they're getting a lot of money being bankrolled by the United States, it's coming in here, okay? Okay, this is going to give you the NOTAM over Israel. You can see this is the hot area. It's a big TFR over that general area. And then it goes even more. You can see some low-level stuff that'll talk about it's a controlled area closed. They don't want anybody flying in there. That's over the Gaza Strip. But then notice here, you also have stuff leading up to Egypt, okay? And then north on the northern side too. So this is like one big no-fly area right now, all right? Let me back up. I'm going to see if these other launch boxes, they are not there anymore. All right, let me show you something. You may remember, look at this one down south, right? That is a missile launch box. That's a missile launch box. Those really long boxes. But I want to show you this before we bounce out. I got this morning. Look at this one. All the way at the very top. All right. I believe that's a U.S. launch box, but notice it gets skinnier. It goes fat down to skinny. And notice that it runs pretty much around the whole top of the Earth. All right. And then here are the other boxes we just talked about. But I don't know what that is. Every once in a while I'll see it. If it's something maybe coming in, breaking up, but it is there briefly and then it disappears. Okay. So anyway, it's just an operational data point for you. All right. Back over to the mini. And again, you can see there are a lot of things going on right now. Notice this box that we typically see down here on the southern side of California into Baja is gone. So I don't know why, but it's not there anymore. All right. Okay. Moving on. We talked about the area of Israel, Gaza down at the south, and then Lebanon to the north. Now, if I show you the current map and we talk the Israeli Air Force, we've already looked at this and shown you where they're flying and everything else going along with that. But let me just show you, this is Israel to the north. This just happened this morning. That is Israel striking Lebanon. And it does not look good. That's a big explosion. Evidently, there have been some interactions on the northern side. That would probably be Hezbollah. And then this is a video that was taken. This is Gaza. Just look out this person's window. And you can see all the buildings on fire, things just imploding. It's pretty bad. Can you imagine looking out your window and having that view of all these buildings, just wondering when your building's going to be the next to be hit? It is not. Look at that. Just absolutely incredible. But let's look at, I'm going to take that piece away. We're going to look at the map. This is Gaza. You can see all the activity. The aircraft that you see, like the fighter icons, those are going to be strikes by the IDF or the Israeli Air Force. All right. And then you'll see little flags. That's spots where they're hitting, taking down buildings, etc. And then you'll see the bomb icons. There are things coming and going in the region. That's where also hit strikes. So you can see Gaza is just lit up, very, very active at the moment. Okay. All right. Let's move away from that. Just kind of give you a lay of the land so you understand. All right. Now, how did we get here? Like I said, we are watching the amount of intelligence flights around that area, and you go, how does somebody get equipment, arms, vehicles, all of this stuff without being noticed? Very little goes on. It's a very small country, and there's a lot of intelligence gathering on a regular basis. Very little happens in the area without Mossad or IDF or Israeli Air Force having eyes on it, okay? So check this out. This is from the U.S. Government Accountability Office, also known as the GAO, Palestinian Authority. U.S. assistance is training and equipping security forces, but the program needs to measure progress and faces logistical constraints. Yeah, that means when they say it faces logistical constraints, they have an issue with getting the equipment to them. All right. So where do they get it out of? Jordan. Okay. That becomes important because they just roll it right across the border there. All right. So look at the date on this, May 10th, 2010. This is back in the Kenyans days. All right. Okay. Over to the next piece. U.S. training and arming 5,000 Palestinian Authority troops in Jordan. Remember, I just said this is how they get it in. It comes across Jordan. Date on this, April 2nd, 2023. So do you see a trend here? All right, we'll continue on. But you may remember we reported that, and we were watching a lot of flights going in and out of Jordan, and I said, something's going on in there. And then this popped up, and now we know why. All right. And then here you go. Look at this. U.S. reinstates hundreds of millions in funding to Palestinians, reversing the Trump decision. Remember, Trump cut all the funds off going to the PA. Well, this is April 8th, 2021. So immediately upon getting in the office, Flashbang comes in and basically reinstates hundreds of millions of dollars into Palestine. So where did they get the money? Great question. And then here, look at this. This is from March of this year. Blinken builds a Palestinian Hezbollah in the West Bank. Not content with fueling street demonstrations against Bibi in Tel Aviv, the Biden administration looks to Lebanize Israel with a new U.S.-funded terror army. Well, you go, this is from within. This is somebody writing the article inside of the country. Now, you go over here and you listen to Blinken, right? Remember, this just took place a couple months ago. Now, this is Blinken making a comment just the other day. Secretary of State Blinken says Iran always used funds for terrorism. Hamas tells BBC they had Iran's direct backing. So we have been watching the funds pour in to Iran right here. Biden administration releases billions to Iran weeks before the Israeli attack. This was October 8th, and you may remember it was $6 billion. All right. And so there you have kind of a pretty steady flow painting the scene of who basically got these guys going. All right. All the way back to 2010, we started putting funds into Palestinian Authority. We've talked about splitting up, making it a two-state solution. You even have the current administration trying to get to the table between the Saudis and the Israelis to broker a deal, even though we don't, or we, I say we, Saudi doesn't want the current administration in at the table. All right. They've told them basically get out of the way, and Israel doesn't want them there either. But we are there trying to broker a deal between the countries from a peace perspective. All right. But yet we are the very ones who have. So let me back up and make sure you understand this. We are trying to get them to take down the barbed wire fence and the minefields between the West Bank and the rest of Israel. Okay. That's what we're trying to do through the peace deal. All the while, we have been pumping money into the country since 2010. All the while, we've been training 5,000 Palestinian troops just in the last year in Jordan. Okay. And, oh, by the way, it doesn't stop there. Palestinian Authority receives U.S. armored vehicles and weapons. That's September. That just happened a couple weeks ago. And so here we are. Not only are we giving them money, we're giving Hamas's and Hezbollah's backers, Iran, $6 billion. And, oh, by the way, the U.S. is directly giving the Palestinian Authority U.S. armored vehicles. How did we get here? Right? Now you know. Okay? U.S. is behind every stinking bit of this. So, yeah. All right, here we go. U.S. Office in Palestinian Affairs deletes post urging Israel to stand down following the Hamas attacks. I will tell you, Al Jazeera, and we're going to look at their page in a minute, they are very anti-Semite. They hate the Jews, and they are advocating this terrorist attack, and they are pro-Palestine and everything else. So go figure. Most of the media is anyway, right? But anyway, this guy basically saying, yeah, go Hamas. Stand down Israel. All right. Israel declares a state of war. Notice they're not talking about being attacked. And the U.S. Navy carrier group has actually been redirected. They were off the coast of Italy about 5 days ago, and they are now headed down to the Mediterranean. And this was just a big write-up on the war zone. Won't go into too much detail on that. But as we go down, I'll show you the carrier group we were talking about is right here. This, again, was 5 days ago. This is the USS Gerald Ford. You may remember that ship off the coast of Florida back when they did the shock test and detonated 40,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate in the water at about 300 feet down, and generated a 3.9 earthquake. Okay. So that is the same ship, and it is now rolling down here. Again, this was 5 days ago. It is already probably, if I had to guess, around Greece, and it's headed into this general area. Again, why would the U.S. be all of a sudden all about backing up and taking care of Israel? I don't know, but something really stinks to high heaven. All right, let's go through the numbers. Again, this is Al Jazeera. They are, super pro-Arab reporting, but I try to get the deets on both sides as much as I can. So here we are. This Israeli-Hamas war, believe me, it's going to stretch way beyond that. This actually could end up taking down Damascus, Isaiah 17, and maybe even stretching into a couple shots taken at Iran themselves. But Here's the latest death toll: 576 Palestinians and 800 Israelis. That is since October 7th, which is just a couple days ago. But as you get into it, it goes in kind of a breakdown. Gaza is at least 560 in Gaza, and then at least 2,900 injured. So this is our equivalent of a 9/11 happening right there. And then over in the West Bank, again, occupied West Bank, that's going to be ancient Samaria, killed at least 16 and injured at least 80, and that's going to be pretty much all Palestinians. And then in Israel itself, killed at least 800 and then injured at least 2243. So the numbers here are starting to stack up. If you start kind of pulling all of this together, it's incredible. So yeah, you can kind of see the picture in the background there of what's going on. So those are the numbers we just covered. But so the next piece is Benjamin Netanyahu has basically said that, hey, listen, if you are Jewish and you live in Gaza, you need to get your stuff and you need to get out. He issued that warning over the weekend before it went super hot, but they are leveling buildings. And this is, they say, the biggest attack that has happened against Israel since the Yom Kippur War. So, yeah, it's pretty big. You're talking in the last 50 years, all right? Okay, now let's talk a little bit to the north of Israel. Notice what else is going on here. Turkey launches a new wave of strikes in Syria. Remember, we were over here looking at this map. This is Turkey up here. This green area is not Turkey. Just so you know, this is Syria. Turkey has basically breached their border, and they have been there for quite some time. About the time the United States backed out of Syria during the Kenyon's administration, they have basically taken over. They've jumped in. Russia has jumped in. Iran has jumped in. And the United States is in here. So we've got three of the big players that are in or called out in Ezekiel 38, all right here to the north of Israel. All right. So when I say how hot will this get, I think we're going to see some type of a peace deal brokered, but I think this could get pretty hot. We may or may not see Damascus disappear, but when you've got Turkey already breaching the border and taking out strikes inside of Syria using drones, things are starting to really, really heat up in the Middle East. I mean, exponentially, all right? Okay, let's get over here. Flashbang's calendar, and it's the 9th. He's not doing anything. So it looks like puts on his pants. I know it's questionable, may or may not actually happen, but around 10 a.m., and it looks like he's got an in-town pool call around 12 p.m., and that's it. So notice what you don't see. I do see here he delivers remarks on the attack, but what I don't see is him actually getting on the phone and calling Bibi and basically saying, hey, we're here for you. Let us know if there's anything we can do. Of course, as I've shown you, we've already done plenty. And don't think for a minute, Israel doesn't know the U.S.'s involvement in standing up the PA and giving them the arms and everything they need probably to go do this deed. All right. Okay, one last thing we're going to hit on, and then we're going to call it a day. That is just over here. I wanted to pop into RZE Poland. This is your forward operating base. This is Ukraine down. Actually, this is Ukraine over here. But this is just important. We don't want to lose sight on what's flowing in and out. And just notice this one's coming out of Brussels, 767 Amerijet. National Cargo coming in with 747. And then we have, looks to be a camber flight coming in. German Air Force is rolling in. So it looks like we're seeing a bit of an uptick in RZE Poland at the moment for a Monday. And then this Ukrainian Air, I don't know what that is. Remember, most of this stuff is commercial flights. German Air Force in and out. Western Global looks to be headed to Ostend. And let me just go down. And then that's headed to Turkey. Into Istanbul. That's a 747 Kaleta bird. So wait and see. We'll see what happens here. But I think there seems to be a little bit of an uptick here. Again, we probably are delivering the tanks we told them we would give them earlier this month or last month. And wait and see. We'll see what happens in terms of Ukraine and how this all shakes loose. We're down probably to less than 3 weeks, according to Millie, who said that they had 30 to 45 days, and that was about a month ago in terms of having the ability, because weather is going to start moving in. Ukraine's going to start getting very cold, and it's not really optimal to fight in, all right? So there we have it. How hot will Israel get? Time will tell, but I have a feeling this is not going to cool down anytime soon. We may see this go on for about a month, and then maybe we start to see everybody come to the table for this big peace deal that was supposedly about to be inked, if it hasn't already been inked, okay? All right, listen, that's going to do it. You guys be safe out there. Keep that powder dry and stay frosty. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Thanks for watching, folks. You can check out the latest gear and products by selecting the QR code on your screen now, or go to monkeywerxus.com.